right, here we go.
Called your testimony the performance of a lifetime.
All right.
And said you were acting.
Uh-huh. Now, what's her
What'd you say to
response? Listen
that?
to this shit.
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
This is crazy. That was a movie. He's not Edward fucking Scissorhands. What the hell is he talking about? What? This is crazy. This is crazy.
I'm the performer.
Yo, look at that long ass pause. Like she thinks she made some type of.
Called your testimony the performance of a lifetime. And said you were acting.
It wasn't that high a bar though. Hey yo.
What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
What? I'm sorry. I've heard about the quote. I've never actually heard the quote. It's even stupider when you hear it.
What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Who was convinced he had scissors for fingers? What? You know what is even worse about it? You know what's even worse about it? Is it strikes me as not something she thought up off the cuff. That strikes me as a line someone came up with and wrote in advance. Maybe like her new PR team, for example. And they're like, here's a line of like a nice little burn you can throw in somewhere along the line, right? So I think someone wrote this line. So I think someone thought that this made sense.
Arguments, the DEP lawyer said, called your testimony the performance of a lifetime. And said you were acting.
Okay.
What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer
She says she was
for
acting.
the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Okay. Again, I don't understand how that's a retort to Camille saying that was an acting performance of a lifetime. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit too hung up on this one, but I can't understand how she thinks that this is some kind of a dig. Okay.
Arguments, the DEP lawyer said, called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
You convinced the world that you could breathe underwater. What the hell does that do with anything? What the hell does that do with anything? So because, what? Oh my God. What a terrible answer. What a terrible answer. First of all, what? What does that even mean? What the hell? What are you talking about? So because she's a lawyer for Edward Scissorhands, so she can't say that you're full of crap and that you're acting and full and lying? I don't understand this at all. You played Mira. You're saying that like because he's an actor who's gone up on stage. I don't even understand what this means. You're an actor too. You're both actors.
In arguments, the DEP lawyer said, called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
What the fuck?
I got nothing for that. I really want to say something biting and witty, but I'm kind of fucking stunned right now. What the fuck was that? She did not just dirt. No. What did she say? No.
Said, called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
That is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Holy shit.
Arguments, the DEP lawyer said, called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Oh my God. Somebody please fucking shoot me right now. Oh, God.
Lawyer
Scissors
said,
for fingers.
called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer. I had listened.
What? 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 Kay? What did she just say? I'm trying to get through this quickly because I got things to do, but is it crack? Is it crack? What would possess you to say something like that? Help me, Jesus. What would possess a human being to say something like that? Is it drugs? Is it the laffy happy drugs? Why would you say something like that? Says the lawyer. No one in their right mind. And again, remember I told you guys I didn't know Johnny Depp that much. Why didn't I realize until deep into this thing that Johnny Depp was Edward Scissorhands? Because I was a kid when I saw that. And so Edward I didn't understand who actors were. And that's probably why I don't really know who anyone is, because I just accept them for their character. But anyway, ain't nobody really think that Johnny Depp, the person, had scissors for hands. We've seen him. He's walking around without scissors. Who told you that that was a good talking point? Who said that? Who said to ridicule him because he was Edward Scissorhands? It's like a level of contempt. No one believed that he was a semi-robotic man who was raised in a mansion and only came down because the Avon lady came down by his house and she tried to cover up his scars, and then he started cutting bushes, and then he started cutting hair. No one thinks that that's actually Johnny Depp.
What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer. I had listened to weeks of testimony.
I'm the performer. I need a mega pint. I should have done this with my usual Japanese whiskey. I need a double. I need a double Nika now. How's that making sense? The lawyer for the man who convinced the world that he had scissors for fingers, she said that I was the performer. What? You have been hanging out with Snoop Dogg too much, girl. Too much. What kind of, what? I can't. I'm gonna play it one last time to try to make sense of it, because if not, I quit. I just did not get the memo. I did not get the memo.
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer.
I need a gift.
Testimony, the performance of a lifetime, and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
That's all I spoke. And I spoke it to power, and I paid the price.
The interviewer is
In the
giving her
closing
no
arguments, the
room
debt
to
lawyer
wiggle
said,
at all.
called your testimony the performance of a lifetime, and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the
What? That's her cut? So we should condemn Johnny. I did not know this. I'm in Nile. So we should condemn Johnny because he played Edward Scissorhands and convinced the world. I don't think anybody actually thought he had scissors for fingers. Did you guys? Let me know in the chat. Did you actually think Johnny Depp had scissors for fingers after watching Edward Scissorhands? Did you actually think that, or did you think it was a movie? I don't like to be sarcastic and making fun of people on YouTube, at least. And in my normal life, I probably am pretty sarcastic. But come on. Like, are you being serious? Not a great answer.
Called your testimony the performance of a lifetime, and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
That's obviously a reference to Edward Scissorhands, the film, but this is not only twice removed, but it's also a bit ridiculous because, first of all, she's saying that because Johnny Depp was so good at acting in Edward Scissorhands, therefore his lawyer's putting on a performance. It's twice removed in the sense that this has nothing to do with Johnny Depp, the actor, acting. Neither has it anything to do with his lawyer acting because he's an actor. And either way, again, impugning the integrity of the lawyers, which I think is uncalled for, but let's listen on.
What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Whenever I saw Edward Scissorhands, I knew that he didn't have scissors for fingers. It's a movie.
Performance of a lifetime, and said you were acting.
I will say I disagree with Johnny Depp's attorneys there. It was not the performance of a lifetime. It was a shitty performance. The woman convulsed for hours and couldn't produce tears. So no.
What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the
says
man
him.
who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
What?
I'm the performer.
Wait, I have to watch that again.
Listen to we man who convinced the world he had
and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer.
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he has scissors for fingers. So she's saying there that this is a lie that Johnny's lawyers were telling. But what is the relationship between Johnny's lawyers and the fact that they have an actor, like a client who was Edward Scissorhands? I don't really understand the connection. I guess what she's trying to say here is like everybody from the lawyer to Johnny Depp, they were all putting on a good show for you, right?
Called your testimony the performance of a lifetime, and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Okay, this one makes me laugh the most. I know everybody else has covered it, but seriously, you played a fish. You played an Atlantean. Get the fuck out of here. It's a movie. Have you never watched a movie? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? His role in a movie does not lessen or greaten his credibility. Really, honestly, the fact that she would try to use that against him, this is the career-ending moment. This is it right here. She's literally said that anybody who plays a fantastical role or any non-totally realistic role is not credible as a human being, is a liar. It's hilarious.
Right.
It's hilarious.
In the closing arguments, the Depp lawyer called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer.
Wait, what? The lawyer convinced the world that he had scissors for fingers, not the guy that was really worded terribly. Camille Vasquez convinced us all he had scissors for fingers.
The Depp lawyer called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Really? Because he played Edward Scissorhands? Are you really fucking saying that? That makes no sense. But you remember when the acting, and I reacted to this, she had no tears. She pretended like she was crying, and she had no tears. Zero. That made no see that awkward silence. That made no sense.
The performer, the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers.
Wait, what? What the fuck was that? Is that what you took from Edward Scissorhands? That he convinced the world that he had scissors for fingers? Bitch, did you watch the movie? He was a doll. He was Pinocchio. He was an unfinished marionette. And Geppetto dies before he can get fixed. And then he's stuck in the world, running around with no context or experience about what anything is. He's an infant thrust into a world of awfulness, trying to take advantage of every single thing, everybody exploiting his innocence. And you take scissors for fingers? That's what you take from that story, that movie, and that he somehow convinced the world? Bitch, he convinced the world that he wasn't human, if you want to go there, that he was a robot, effectively.